All right, let's talk about building a blueprint for business automation. We're going to cover how you can stop getting bogged down by all that repetitive work and actually start building a company that's more resilient and, ready to scale. Let's jump right in. Does this feel familiar at all? You started your business with these big ideas to create something new, to solve real problems. But now your day-to-day feels like you're just drowning in a sea of tiny, repetitive, low-value tasks. If that hits home, then you are in exactly the right place. You know what I'm talking about. These are the quiet thieves of our productivity. Things like manual data entry, pulling that same report week after week, sending that third follow-up email. Look, none of these are hard, but when you add them all up, they become this constant drain on your most valuable resources, your time and your energy. This is the kind of stuff that keeps you busy but not truly productive. So how do we fight back against all that? Well, the answer is automation. And trust me, it's about so much more than just clawing back a few minutes here and there. It's really a strategic shift in how your entire business can operate. Let's start with the thing you'll feel right away, your time. Studies show that even with some basic automation, you could free up a massive 20 to 50% of your work week. Seriously, just take a second and imagine what you could do with an extra day or even two every single week. But it's not just about being faster. It's also about being more accurate. Automation can slash human error by up to 90%. Think about that for a second. Fewer mistakes on invoices, cleaner data in your CRM, and just a more professional, consistent experience for all your customers. That's huge. And this part is absolutely crucial. Automation isn't about making your team obsolete. Not at all. It's about making them more powerful. It's about taking the robotic work off their plates so they can focus on the things that humans are amazing at, building relationships, thinking strategically, and solving those really tough problems. Okay, so the why is pretty clear, but what about the how? Let's get practical. We're going to walk through a really simple 3-tier blueprint you can start using today, and it doesn't matter what your budget is or how tech-savvy you are. So where do you even begin? Well, it's simpler than you think. Just look for tasks that pass this simple 3-part test. Let's call it the automation trio. First, is it high frequency? Does it happen all the time, like daily or weekly? Second, is the input consistent? Like, does the data always come from the same web form? And finally, does it require zero subjectivity? Meaning there's no, what should I do here moment. If a task checks all 3 of those boxes, you've found your perfect first target. And the tools to do this are way more accessible than you might think. Just look at this framework. You can start right at Tier 1 with what we call native automations. These are just features already built into the software you're probably already paying for, like email filters. Tier 2 is where you use integration engines, think Zapier or Make, that act like glue between your different apps. Then you've got Tier 3, which uses AI for more complex stuff like summarizing an email. The key takeaway here is you can start with what you already own. Now hold on, before you rush off and try to automate everything in sight, we need to talk about some guardrails. Because look, smart automation can totally transform your business, but thoughtless automation, well, that can just create chaos. So let's cover the critical rules to avoid the most common and costly mistakes. This right here is the golden rule. You should probably write it down. If your manual process is already messy or inconsistent, automating it is not going to fix it. All you'll do is produce those same mistakes just at lightning speed. You have to fix and standardize the process first, period. The difference between good and bad automation couldn't be more clear. Smart automation frees up creativity, it supports relationships, and it simplifies everything. Bad automation, on the other hand, just creates errors faster, feels robotic, and builds these fragile, complicated systems that nobody understands. Your goal always is to stay on the smart side of this chart. So how do you make sure you stay on that smart side, especially when the stakes are high? You use a human-in-the-loop model. It's a fantastic strategy where the system does, say, 90% of the heavy lifting, like gathering data and drafting a proposal, but a human does that crucial final 10% review and approval before it goes out. You really get the best of both worlds, incredible efficiency and that all-important quality control. Okay, so far we've been deep in the tactics. Now let's zoom out for a second and look at the ultimate vision. Because this isn't really just about saving time on emails, right? It's about fundamentally changing the entire nature of your business. The big idea is to move from being person-dependent to being system-dependent. What does that mean? A system-dependent workflow gives you a consistent, high-quality result every single time. It doesn't matter who's on vacation or who's new to the team. The system itself, documented and automated, is what guides the work. And this is why all of this matters so much. When you document and automate your core processes, you're building a business that can actually grow without breaking, one that's resilient when things change. And maybe most importantly, you're building a business that can run smoothly and effectively even when you're not there. That right there is true entrepreneurial freedom. So, I'll leave you at this question to think about. Right now, as it stands today, have you built a true asset that can run on its own systems? Or have you just created a very, very demanding job for yourself? The answer to that question really lies in the systems you decide to build.